Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sitdown. Oh, it's Friday morning. It's a little later in the Friday than I typically like things to be for this particular show. I'm usually up bright and early, but it's Black Friday today, which means yesterday was Thanksgiving, and while I wasn't, celebrating with family, I was working all day. I worked late night last night, and then, still, you OD on turkey, you need to sleep. And I slept it off, feeling a lot better. I hope you all enjoyed your Thanksgivings, doing whatever you were doing, and I hope you're just kicking back with your feet up on this Black Friday, man. Do your online shopping. Don't go to the actual stores. You can get just about everything online, man. You don't want to deal with them crazy people who go out there like bright and early and fight for things. You don't want that. I hope your feet are up. You're on your computer doing your Black Friday shopping, maybe watching a little old Seaman talk about our new favorite television show coming to us from Disney Plus out of the Star Wars universe. Oh, you know what I'm talking about, baby. So why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat. We're getting ready to dive in spoiler free into The Mandalorian, Chapter 4, Sanctuary. Oh, man, I tell you, it's taken us like 40 plus years to get a woman into the director's chair of a live-action Star Wars anything. And that woman, Deborah Chow, gave us the best episode of The Mandalorian so far, and some of the best Star Wars stuff we've seen in a while, man. Like, she rocked it last week. And then it only took us another week to get another female in the director's chair, and oh man, she's also doing some really big, bad things, dude. Sanctuary is a fantastic episode. On one viewing, I can't put it above The Sin, but it's certainly battling for that 2 spot with Chapter 1, and it might have the edge. Just one viewing in, but oh man, dude, I tell you, Bryce Dallas Howard, Ron Howard's daughter, who's directing here, does such a fantastic job of giving us something that's really, really Star Wars. Like, you definitely got those vibes from Deborah Chow last week, and it was the thing that, makes you excited. You saw her command action, do this, all these different set pieces, and do stuff that looked and felt like Star Wars. Got you, rightfully so, excited for Deborah Chow tackling Obi-Wan. Bryce Dallas Howard, man, she gave us something that felt so inherently Star Wars. It's probably the most Star Wars-y episode of all the episodes, man. We're out on a fishing planet, so we're out in the forest, so that right away is already giving you Star Wars vibes that, like, are just inherent, man. Like, watching Luke and them run around on the different kind of like forest-y type worlds, you're getting that vibe, man. And there's a lot of stuff that happens in this episode that you were just like, oh yeah. This, if you didn't know, take 2 seconds of watching this episode, and you're in the Star Wars universe, man. I thought Howard did such a great job of capturing the essence of Star Wars, and not the big wars, but those small wars, right? We got a little fishing town, we got some aliens that are not friendly, that are looking to kind of just continually pillage this village and just take all of their, their crops and their fishes and all the stuff that they've been, growing or hunting, that they just come and raid all their supplies. There's the word, supplies. And watching these smaller type things, right? Like, are things that I think fit big. Yes, the big war stuff is awesome, and I love when we get that in the Star Wars universe, because it is about Star Wars, right? But these smaller little battles and things of that nature, there's just, I don't know, there's something closer to it, right? It's more intimate, and the execution of the entire episode is just flawless, man. We get some really good Mandalorian stuff. We get to learn some very, very important things that answer some big questions that I think we've all had since day one with this TV show about our Mandalorian and some things about him and where he comes from in his past. So we get to establish that stuff, which is really cool. We get to meet new characters, and then we get thrown into one of these little mini wars. And this battle, man, it takes place at night, so it looks beautiful, dude. Like, anytime you're shooting lasers, at night is when they really, really pop. And the choreography, the whole thing, it just looked and felt exactly like you would want it to for this type of an episode. So I thought Bryce Dallas Howard did an absolutely tremendous job, and I hope we get to see her back in on The Mandalorian at some point. I hope Deborah Chow utilizes her for some Obi-Wan, and I really look forward to see what Bryce Dallas Howard does going forward. Like I said, prior to this, I think the only thing she's really done was a Black Mirror episode, which I really, really liked. It was one of the better ones for sure. And here, right out the gate, man, she's giving us a Mandalorian episode that's better than most of the Mandalorian episodes we've got, and they've all been really, really good. So I was very, very pleased with what Bryce Dallas Howard did, behind the camera here. But what we got in the story itself, man, we got some really, really good stuff. Like I said, another really fantastic episode for Pedro Pascal. And again, I keep saying, I'm going to give him the credit of wearing the suit and being the guy in it until someone tells me otherwise. In this episode in particular, man, the body language from Pascal is so, so strong. There are moments where he's not saying things, but just the way he's leaning up against the wall or he's tilting his head, you can tell that he's second-guessing certain decisions, or that he's, feeling this need deep down, the hero inside him. You can tell that battle that's going on, man. Like, he tries to act like a Mandalorian, where it's like, well, you pay me, I'll go do you a service, but if you ain't got the money, I'll move on. But there is this inner hero that we're starting to see kind of emerge from our Mandalorian. And you can tell, man, just some of the instances where he doesn't talk, he just tilts his head, or the way he's holding his body, upright or sitting, or however it is, man, his body language is just conveying so much information that you can see that internal struggle of like, all right, I got to do the right thing. And continually, the Mandalorian continues to show us that he does do the right thing over and over. And that stuff from Pascal's performance I thought was really, really excellent. And then, like I said, we learned some really, really important things about his character. And it answers a few things that a lot of us have been wondering from jump. And after last episode, you were kind of maybe wondering some of these things a little bit more so, because you're like, nah, man, he's like, and we get an answer, so to speak, in this episode. And there's a lot of heart in this episode too, man. There are a lot of emotions going on through the Mandalorian throughout the course of the episode. And like I said, I think Pascal, both vocally, his vocal deliveries, there's one, maybe two times where his voice kind of cracks a little bit. The emotional impact in his voice delivery, very, very good, as well as the body language. And he really is conveying all this stuff in a way where you're getting an emotional attachment to the Mandalorian without ever seeing his face. And they kind of put that on display in the episode too. I thought it was really interesting. But I loved all of that stuff. And then when you get into the action stuff, I mean, we already know, man. The Mandalorian is always awesome in the action. And getting to watch him work with a partner, so to speak, in this episode was a lot of fun. And that partner is finally, yes, man, we've all been waiting for it since we saw the trailers. We've been like, when is she coming? When is she coming? When is she coming? Well, Miss Gina Carano has finally arrived, and let me tell you, Cara Dune, I'm about it, dude. I hope her and Mandalorian team up multiple times throughout the course of this season, throughout the course of this series. I really enjoyed their interactions, man, and the way the relationship kind of starts to where it ends at the end of the episode. It's a really nice arc, and I liked watching all the interactions between the two of them. Kind of like where you don't trust each other, to earning each other's respect, to being almost like military-type leaders. Cara Dune is a soldier, and things that happen in the episode with this, group of aliens that keep ransacking this village on this planet. We finally got a planet name, by the way. Sorgan is the planet that we're on for this whole episode. And the stuff that they do to help this little fishing town. I just really enjoyed watching them interact. And then, I mean, I don't even need to tell you this, but if somehow you don't know, Gina Carano's pretty awesome in action sequences, man. And her and the Mandalorian, like I said, their first meeting is fantastic. And the stuff we get to see her do from a physicality standpoint, I'm just like, oh yeah, dude, I needed Cara Dune in this show, and I need more of her. I thought she was fantastic. And like I said, I liked watching her and the Mandalorian just do everything that they were doing in this episode. Now, as I mentioned, we're on the planet Sorgan, and, we get a couple nice small performances from a couple of the different villagers, but there's one villager in particular who stands out, Julia Jones, who I would know from Wind River, but apparently she was also in the Twilight Saga, but I'm sure you've seen her around. She's playing this character, Omera, who has a daughter, and there's a really, really intense scene with her and her daughter early on in this episode where I was just like, yep, Julia Jones crushing it. We're gonna be talking about you some. And then the whole episode, man, I just liked every moment she steps up. She gets some real badass moments, and she gets some really, really heartfelt, emotional sequences with our Mandalorian, which is where we kind of learn some of those new tidbits that we get from him. But I loved her performance, man. I really thought she carried what they gave her quite well, and being a mother in the situation that they're in really reflected a lot in her performance and the things that were going on. So I thought she was also a lovely addition to the episode. And again, we continue to world build here, and I love seeing the world building, man. Like I said, we're on this big kind of fishing type planet. A lot of forest, a lot of greenery. Loved all that stuff. But before the Mandalorian gets to their little village, kind of goes through a main part of town. This is where he runs into Gina Carano's Cara, and again, we kind of go into one of these spots. I think it's more like a restaurant bar. And when he comes in, with Baby Yoda, who we will get to in a moment. Oh, what an episode for Baby Yoda. But again, we get to kind of continue to see more aliens, more inhabitants of this universe, and the diversity and the mixture of all of them is very interesting. But also, the reactions that people have when the Mandalorian shows up, very interesting. Slightly different than what we've seen in these previous episodes, and you kind of are getting a sense, like, depending on where you are, is really the reason and how people are reacting to him. So I thought that stuff was really good. And overall, this is a rock-solid episode, start to finish. Like I said, the action is big, it's awesome, it feels classic Star Wars, man. It feels so Star Wars. And all the Mandalorian stuff was great. But I think I'm forgetting to talk about just one person. Oh, Baby Yoda, man. What a great episode for Baby Yoda. He gets to do a bunch of little things, and we get to see him interact with kids. They kind of the kids kind of watch him as they're doing things throughout the course of the episode. And his interactions, specifically with Omera's daughter, are fantastic. But watching him interact with the kids in general and get to kind of be a little Baby Yoda kid, the cutest stuff you've ever seen. And the humor, oh my gosh, dude, Baby Yoda makes you laugh so much in this episode, because there are things that the Mandalorian either says or sets up, and then Baby Yoda, like typical Baby Yoda at this point, 4 episodes in, we got a typical Baby Yoda. He doesn't ever listen to the Mandalorian, and anytime he's not listening to the Mandalorian, you're laughing. Like I said, the interactions he has with the kids, we get another feeding moment that's absolutely adorable, and like, I tell you, man, I don't know how you're going to continue to be able to do some of the big action-y things that you're doing with Baby Yoda around, but Baby Yoda need to be riding with the Mandalorian at all times, man. Like, you gotta have these two together. Like, they're a package deal at this point. And even the thought of them maybe not being together, you just go, oh, man, like, But, when they are together, man, it's spectacular. And we get some nice little story beats with Baby Yoda that I was really digging, man. Like, I'm so here for this freaking thing. It's so cute, man. And I love me some Baby Yoda. And like I said, the story beats, while, there's no, like, flashbacks to Baby Yoda, but things that are going on with his character and things that we know are addressed in this episode also, and kind of give us an idea of where the story can go with Baby Yoda. But I tell you, man, don't get rid of him, Favreau. Don't you do it, because we all love Baby Yoda, and those big black eyes, man, they're just... The eyes, man, the way they just kind of, like, capture things. You can see his amazement or interest in things that he hasn't seen before. And he has a couple little scenes like that. Big episode for Baby Yoda. I really, really enjoyed it. And overall, like I said, I enjoyed the whole episode. It was really, really quite an enjoyable chapter in this story, and I thought, like I said, Bryce Dallas Howard crushed it. I would love to see her get back behind camera again during The Mandalorian, and hopefully I would also like to see Deborah Chow use her. It would be cool to see both her and Chow be incorporated into more Star Wars stuff, because little first piece that they've both been given absolutely knocked it out of the park. So there you go, man. Those are all the Seaman's non-spoiler thoughts on Chapter 4, Sanctuary from The Mandalorian. Really, really good episode. fighting chapter 1 for that 2 spot, and who knows, by the time I finish watching it a second, maybe third time, it could be fighting the sin, man. It's right there, dude. There was things. I gotta stop. I gotta stop talking, because if I don't, I'm gonna spoil things, and we want to do that in the spoiler review. So there you go, man. Those are all my non-spoiler thoughts. Now I want to know what you're thinking. 4 chapters into The Mandalorian. What are you thinking, man? Are you riding and dying with this show the way the Seaman is? Are you all in on Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian? Can you just not get enough Baby Yoda and all of the new things that were introduced? A new planet, new characters, everything that was going on this episode. What were you thinking? What was working? What wasn't working? Was there really anything that wasn't working? I'm telling you, it's hard to find things not working in this show because it's just so good, man. It's my new Game of Thrones. I'm like all in on this. So if you're feeling that way, let me know that too. But anything you're thinking about The Mandalorian, and specifically Chapter 4, try to keep it spoiler-free. Save the spoilers for the spoiler review, which will come out some point this weekend. But let me know everything you're thinking down below in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the Seaman when we talking The Mandalorian, you want to hear all my spoiler conversations about Chapter 4 Sanctuary. I know they were trying to get out of my mouth, and I kept pulling them back in, man, not to give anything away. You want to know everything we thought about this episode? You want to know everything we're thinking about all the Mandalorian episodes? You want to just know what the Seaman's thinking about movies and TV in general? Well, there's only one thing you can do, man. You got to come join the Cinema Sit-Down Squad. That's the only thing you can do. You got to go. Jump over there, man. Hit that subscribe button. Then you are part of the squad, man. I'll pop up in your feed all the time. You'll see when we're talking about the Mandalorian. But if you want to be the first person to know, then hit that little bell that follows. It'll give you an alert, and you can be the first to click in and be like, "What's Seaman thinking about Mandalorian this week?" So if you want to do that, man, please, join. Come join. We have a lot of fun over here. I love interacting with you guys. So, if you want to, and you're feeling it, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell, get your alerts, stay in the know, come hang out with the Seaman and the Cinema Sit-Down Squad, and until next time, for the Seaman's Cinema Sit-Down, I'm the Seaman. I'm signing off. Peace. Well, you guys are still here. You must be looking for some more content. Well, don't worry. Seaman's got you covered, man. You got videos like this guy and this guy. And if you haven't yet, and you want to come check out all the Seaman goodies, join the Cinema Sit-Down Squad, man. Hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the little bell down below that, too, so you can get alerts every time I make new videos.